Shakur Stevenson is poised for a return to the sport of boxing. Now, Shakur Stevenson was supposed to be on the Directedbyego versus Dmitry Bivol fight card. He was forced to pull out of that particular fight because he was injured with a hand injury, which he said requires surgery. He also released a clip of him getting hurt in sparring, and he was like, and then, you know, he had just thrown a body shot, and then after that point, he was hurt from the body shot that he threw. And this body shot, which is kind of a bit weird, you know, because the body is, I would say the body is more squishy than somebody's skull, like hitting somebody with a shot upstairs. But nonetheless, this is the shot where Shakur Stevenson got hurt. Now, videos and clips of him have surfaced on the internet, and he's looking to get back in the swing of things. Now, he went on this, what I call a tweet storm, and he just kept posting a bunch of tweets, right? And he says, "My dreams are getting closer. I can feel it. I'm gonna wake everybody up next year. They don't realize how special I really am." Then he reposted Turkey Al-Sheikh, who says that he has a card in February, and Eddie Hearn's working on it too. And they're saying that this is going to be the best Riyadh season card. That remains to be seen, right? So ultimately, he's going on social media, you know, announcing his comeback, and I'm going to wake everybody up next year, things like that. And people don't realize how special I am. Listen, I've said this before, and I'm going to say it again. The ultimate way as a man, I can't speak on behalf of anything that I'm not. I am a man. And as a man, what I do know is the ultimate way to prove your worth, your value, and impress people is ultimately to do, not to talk about it, not to forewarn and showcase and preview these potentials, right? You gotta just do it. And I think that's one of my number one gripes with Gen Z fighters is it gets to a point where a lot of today's boxers, they'd rather talk about it. And I'm not saying, like in this instance, Shakur is not a great fighter or a skilled fighter. I always keep it real. So I'm not saying that at all. What I am saying is, if you are truly special, you truly believe you're special, you really don't have the resume, you don't have the stardom that would coincide with that, I guess you could say. So at this point, it would probably be better to just show people what you're talking about rather than keep getting on social media and proclaiming these things. Like, I'm special. These guys can't beat me. Tell your favorite fighter, blah, blah, blah. Like, this is what Shakur Stevenson frequently does. And I think this is where he misses the mark. This is why people call him Shakur Twitterson and all that, because that ain't gonna cut it. Because we've heard, the thing is, anybody can talk. That's what your mouth say. Shakur told us out of his own mouth that he was gonna stop Artem Harutyunyan. He also talked spicy to Edwin De Los Santos, like, wait till Thursday, you gonna see, la la la, I'ma come get you, don't run, you know, all these types of things. And then we watched his last two outings, and in my opinion, you can say he won the fights, and so I'm not mad at that, but they really didn't deliver to the caliber of what he was previewing and suggesting those fights would be. I think that's fair to say. So at this point, the only way to help reverse this is to do the right things. It's like let's say a person gained a bunch of weight, right? Somebody gained 20, 30, 40, 50 pounds, right? Over the course of some years. It took you years to gain this excess weight. So it's going to take a dedicated effort of concentrated, deliberate behavior in the opposite direction to reverse that. You know, it's going to be a process. I'm not saying it'll take 5 years, but it will take a deliberate, you have to have a plan of attack. You have to have a game plan of what you're going to do. You know, I'm going to work out these days. I'm going to rest these days. I'm going to clean up my eating. I'm going to count my macros, these types of things, right? In this world, everything is cause and effect. And I think Shakur's last 2 performances have left people with more expectations because they haven't really lived up to what he was telling us that these fights would look like. So the only way to now reverse that is just like I said with the analogy of putting weight on. You already put the weight on, the weight's already on you. Now you got to get it off you. So instead of it being actual weight in terms of pounds or fat, visceral fat for Shakur Stevenson, the weight that is on him is you're a boring fighter. You don't do what you say you're going to do. You can't stop guys. You have no power. You know, I expected more versus these guys. Frank Martin almost stopped Artem Haratunian and you heard him, but you really didn't know or didn't show us that you could get him out of there. Even Andre Ward and Terrence Crawford were giving Shakur gems in the back locker room about what he could have done a bit better and a bit different in order to try to force the stoppage. Like Terrence Crawford, if you look at the behind the scenes, he was like, you got to put your punches together. You was doing ... but you wasn't putting it together right, basically. So that's just my word of advice. It's a pet peeve. And I know if it's a pet peeve for me, I know I speak for many other people who see it the same exact way. The ultimate thing is let's talk. Just show us if you're going to beat Zepeda, if that's what's on the menu, and you're going to show us off injury that you can look good against a feared guy like William Zepeda, just show us. There's really no reason to give us this long spiel, this preamble about what you intend to do. Just train, have your mind right, make it to the fight, show up, and show and tell. It's like show and tell in elementary school. Imagine if someone said, "Oh, my dad's a cop," and they just told you he's a cop, and it's show and tell. Okay, bring his handcuffs to work. Show us his badge. Bring in his hat, his billy club, something. Don't just tell us. And that's where I'm at with it with Shakur Stevenson. Finally, I will say this, ego thoughts. Don't tell me nothing anymore about Shakur Stevenson versus Gervonta Davis. I don't want to hear it. Here's why. Shakur became a free agent, facts. After the top ranked contract, he fulfilled his contract in the Artem Haratunian fight. Shakur Stevenson then goes to Eddie Hearn and Turki Al-Sheikh, which new information came out suggesting that they are going to basically make some changes where Riyadh season only happens in Saudi Arabia and during Riyadh season, which I'll make a whole separate video about that. So to me, there's a reason for that. That means they're losing money in my world, because if the Crawford Madrimov in America was so successful in fights like that, the UFC at the Sphere, if these fights were really like making buku bucks and highly insanely profitable, then why would they all of a sudden say, hey, let's pull back the reins and bring the fights back to Saudi Arabia, which is what it initially was supposed to be about with Riyadh season. If you were making so much money, nobody's going to do that. You're going to keep investing where it's paying dividends. So the reason why I don't want to hear nothing with Shakur Stevenson is for this simple reason. You became a free agent. You didn't go to PBC. You didn't go to Al Heyman. Tank's the A side. Shakur is on record saying that Tank Davis is the A side, and you didn't go where the A side's at. That means to me that you weren't ready to fight, because if you were ready to fight, you would have try to do business where the business could get done. Eddie Hearn has zero pull with PBC. Book it. Mark my words on that. He doesn't have any pull. You've seen it. Look at when Canelo Alvarez fights his fighter in the last fight, Edgar Berlanga. He didn't have no pull. Like, it didn't appear like it was a rematch room show. It was a complete PBC. He was just happened to be there because Canelo chose his man. His dude Berlanga, who signed to him, got chose. Same thing with De La Hoya. De La Hoya, when Canelo chose Munguia, he just happened to have a contract with Munguia, so he was just pretty much there. But it wasn't a Golden Boy show, just like it wasn't a rematch room show. And that was apparent by all the press related things. So why would Shakur go in that direction if he really wanted to fight Tank? Furthermore, you have content creators. Listen, there's a lot of low quality content available right here on the internet. And people, they say, oh, why didn't Tank fight Devin Haney? Get real. Devin Haney just came off of a fight where he was bludgeoned by Ryan Garcia. Do you really think his first fight back, honestly, should be a Gervonta Davis? Not likely. And then people throughout also Shakur Stevenson, right? Oh, why isn't Tank fighting Shakur Stevenson? Because he's hurt and he had a surgery and he said he's out for the year. And furthermore, it looks like he already has his fight done for February, which is why he's retweeting Turkey. So how is Tank gonna fight him if he's fighting someone else and it looks all but announced for February? Stop it.